Kyle Reese said, "The future is not set. There is no fate, but what we make for ourselves." Terminator Zero emphasizes this a lot. We witness a story of a family willing to go to any end to ensure humanity's future. Does that sound familiar? Yes, that has been the basic formula of the Terminator movies from the first two films, and it was also the case for the Fast and the Furious movies. The 8-episode run gave us a fair idea regarding the character's fate, and the fate of humanity remains completely unknown. While Netflix figures out if the show deserves a second season or not, let's take a look at everything that can be explored in the next season of Terminator Zero. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Knowledge is power. If you understand something, it can never truly control you.
What happened in Terminator Zero Season 1? Yes, the Terminator franchise is back at it again with another story, but this time it is a bit different than the one we've seen after James Cameron left the directorial duties. 1984's Terminator and follow-up, aka one of the best sequels in cinema history, T2 Judgment Day, planted the seeds for a concept that would be dragged around for decades. Even though there have been times when we've gotten some exciting stories, none of them have managed to live up to the original first two. These follow-up movies provided some clarity regarding the brilliant concepts that could be explored. We had Skynet, the main villain, the stories replaced by other renditions were Skynet, but some advanced and delayed corporations due to the success of the Resistance in preventing Judgment Day. Mattson Tomlin has a brilliant concept in his mind, and being an anime series, we got to witness many things with as much detail as possible. Let's quickly look at everything we witnessed in Terminator Zero to understand what to expect from the characters' arcs in the future. The show opens in the future, the post-apocalyptic world where the Resistance is fighting the machines, and we get pushed right away into the absolute terror that Skynet has cast over the world as a Terminator manages to kill the Resistance soldiers. But one of them manages to survive, and we do mean survive because she had a near-death experience trying to stop the T-1000. Eiko brings information regarding Skynet's plans, and they determine that Skynet has sent a Terminator into the past, like the various stories we are already aware of. But this time the target isn't in California. The target is Malcolm Lee, a scientist and Resistance member from a future quite a while after Eiko's time, who had traveled back to 1983 to create the AI Kokoro, which he wanted to use to stop Skynet. Yes, that's a lot of time to travel in a single storyline, but hold your horses. Now, it is quite a brilliant idea to create another AI that can prevent Skynet, given the chance that the AI will not be used as a weapon. Lee intends to give free will to the AI so that it can decide what to do regarding saving humanity from Skynet. Even though that sounds like a clear option, the problem remains in the idea that even this AI might come to terms with a human's destructive and ruthless mentality and decide to exterminate them. It is up to Malcolm to prove to Kokoro that there is hope in humanity and thus give them a chance before jumping the guns like Skynet did. Before Eiko travels into the future, she gets a tiny TED talk about incense sticks and time machines from the Prophet. This conversation is similar to the various time travel conversations we have witnessed in multiple franchises, ranging from the Marvel Cinematic Universe to X-Men Days of Future Past. Then the X-Men is in the MCU, but they use different travel explanations, and then there's Back to the Future. Anyway, we should count ourselves lucky that somebody sat down and explained the time travel logic in Terminator, something that has been missing for quite a while, considering we have had a bunch of time travel. Now, Eiko aims to stop the Terminator from killing Malcolm Lee and put Kokoro under Skynet. Even though she intends to stop Malcolm's death, she primarily focuses on preventing Kokoro from coming online, which sounds like a much more dangerous villain than Skynet. However, saving Malcolm Lee is no easy task, as the Terminator targets his neglected kids, who are each brilliant in their things. Surprisingly, this version of the 1997 Japan has errant robots called Eno. Or should I not be surprised about that? Maybe that happened and we never found out about it? Anyway, the Terminator decides to use the kids as leverage against Malcolm Lee, and Eiko goes to stop him from getting a hold of them. But Malcolm was smart enough to put Misaki as their guardian in his absence, and Misaki was an android, the early version of Kokoro that he had brought back from the future. Yes, her being an android is quite the twist when the Terminator is doing that scene from the 1984 film where it goes inside the police headquarters and kills everyone in sight. Misaki and Eiko save the kids except for the elder son Kenta, who gets captured by the Terminator, but there's a reason behind that. But it takes Kenta to Malcolm for leverage leverage, Malcolm denies giving in to the demands of the Terminator, but the killer robot doesn't end up killing the kid. It goes for its final plan while Eiko and Misaki try to stop but fail, and the Terminator kills Malcolm to save his kids. Finally, the Terminator takes Kenta to an EMP that could be used to stop Kokoro, which had been put online a few minutes before the Judgment Day plans came into action. However, the Terminator reveals another major twist. This series has several twists. The Terminator reveals that Kenta sent it into the past, and that's why it knew that he would trigger the EMP that would kill every machine around it to a certain radius. Meanwhile, Malcolm reveals that Eiko is his mother before he dies. Yes, another major twist, but his sacrifice affects Kokoro and she realizes that there's still hope in humanity. She decides to give them the benefit of the doubt and doesn't go into the Skynet way of things. When Kenta is about to trigger the EMP, Kokoro confronts him and tells him that it wants to be the good one regarding the AI, like Malcolm was for the humans or even Misaki for that case. She manages to convince Kenta not to trigger the EMP, and the survivors decide to go into the dark, away from Kokoro, to a future that might look hopeful now but isn't far from the unforeseen enemies.
Comply or die.
Will there be a Season 2 for Terminator Zero? Yes, that's a lot of plot, and leaving the series in an ambiguous tone made us feel that many things were left unsaid. Many questions were answered, but I am bothered by who the Prophet was. How did she know so much about time travel, and how did she learn about possible events in the timelines? Sometimes I felt like they would reveal that she was none other than Malcolm's daughter, Reika, but then we didn't know anything and weren't the only ones asking. Eiko was very clear about asking her the same question, but like all those other wise people, she didn't see anything and probably gave her a wise smile. Anyway, the ambiguous ending regarding these characters' choices now means there's the scope for at least another season to wrap things up. However, creator Matt Tomlin has a much more cohesive plan than we could have thought. The person who brought us Batman and has also worked on a sequel plan for Batman 2 has indicated his expanded ideas for the series that they would involve a lot of pilots. Tomlin stated, "If I had my druthers and I could do all the 6 seasons that I've gotten mapped out, it would be following these kids as they grow. They survive Judgment Day, and then what? And then they're in their teens, and then they're in their 20s, and then they're in their 40s, and then they're in their 60s, and meanwhile they are jumping all over time trying to fix this mess." The mess he is referencing is the question that even Kokoro has in her mind: humanity's future, which has been the key to every entry in the Terminator franchise. Tomlin also stated that some exciting stuff might be prepared for the Prophet, who could use some light on her character. He says, "We don't know who she is, we don't know where she comes from. It is going to be doled out at another point in time, but just know it's a story that's about time travel, so let's really play with that. For me, a character like the Prophet that's really seeding things for a potential Season 2, 3, 4. So far, Netflix has not provided an update regarding additional seasons, but if it does get cleared, we might be looking at a 2025 release date for the 2nd season. Does Kokoro have a secret plan what to expect in Season 2? As I said, there are a lot of things that need to be answered, and there are a lot of character mysteries that need to be solved. The biggest question in our head was, is Kokoro going to follow in the footsteps of Skynet and go towards exterminating humanity? There is a clear hint that it has done that before, because it's not every day that a human had to team up with Skynet to work out a plan that could ensure the survival of both of them by stopping Kokoro in the past. That's precisely why Kenta sent the T-1000 in 1997. He is no ordinary person, but he is Malcolm's child. Now, Malcolm intended to turn the machines into a force for good, which can also be seen in Kenta, as he had a knack for electronics and working on robots. He managed to turn on one of the various Enos on standby at the subway and worked on its voice to gain information regarding its operation. Later, he even worked on Misaki's arm. Even though Kenta initially didn't like Misaki's revelation, he accepted it over time. These plot points give us many ideas regarding the kind of person Kenta will be, but they don't give us a clear idea of why he would end up working with Skynet to stop Kokoro. Maybe his hatred for his father, when Malcolm didn't help him as the Terminator used him as a hostage, could have grown over time and he decided to stop Kokoro. Or it could just be that Kokoro proved too dangerous and he had to join hands with Skynet to stop her. Kenta's path depends on the choices made by Kokoro, who had already stated that she had access to all the data in the world and would use them to make her choice. Malcolm was present to ensure sure that Kokoro gave humanity the benefit of the doubt for a while. Will she change her ways and become something more dangerous than Skynet ever was? We got a taste of what Kokoro could do when she activated all the Enos and used them to kill everyone bearing arms and who resisted her. Yes, that is a gruesome method, but we don't know if she will continue with that option or decide to find another way to save humanity. Misaki is the only character who draws some interesting parallels to Kokoro, and even Misaki is still a mystery. There are things about her left to be explored, but based on what we know of her, she is an essential character in judging humanity. Following her discovery that she is an android, everyone had their responses, and her response to them was also different based on the chemistry she had developed with them. Misaki is very similar to Marcus from Terminator Salvation, and Kenta knew about these androids who were unaware of their true selves. Did Malcolm know about these experiments and introduce Kenta to the concept after being reminded of them in his nightmares? As Misaki continues her journey with the kids, we will see her take on humanity as they come to terms with what has happened to the world. There was a hint at this when the humans decided to hang one of the robots in rebellion, and it ended up triggering Misaki so much that she went full Jason Bourne mode and killed him. Was it a defense mechanism for saving the child, something Malcolm might have programmed into her, or was it just her reaction to what the humans did because the hanging robot affected her quite a lot? She has feelings, and these feelings did impact her action. So when Kokoro has to understand humans and decide she might want to see what Misaki thinks about there being some good left in humankind. Now we come to Eiko, and she just found out that she has managed to complete a loop that involved her coming to the past and meeting her son Malcolm. While Eiko was completely confused about the next plan of action, Malcolm gave her a mission to protect her grandchildren and take them to another time. So Eiko has a purpose now as she stares into the unknown future that may take any form in the upcoming days. But one thing is clear, things aren't getting better anytime soon, so Eiko must be prepared for any possibility, knowing that she is one of the best warriors that humans have. She will prepare the kids to fight for themselves, and we can already see that she has a liking for Reika. The two have spent a considerable amount of time together. Kokoro will prioritize Malcolm's kids, and if Kokoro turns full Skynet, they might make it to one of those Kyle Reese or John Connor kill lists. Each of them had the kills they used as they survived the attacks from Terminator and the Enos under Kokoro's control. Considering that Kenta has already shown his tech skills, he might prove to be an essential person in the future who designs his robots like his father. Similarly, the other two kids had good intuition and survival skills, which might develop into more essential skills as they enter the post-Judgment Day world. We will never know how their travels and actions affect the future. We will only see that they tried to save humanity by bringing out the best in them. Kokoro will be the key to the series in the future, and considering Malcolm's act could be wronged by a billion humans, the kind who had stopped him from his work back in his time, Kokoro might change her mind with much ease. Remember what the prophet said, no one knows what will happen, child, and that is the effing point. Marvelous verdict. The last time we got a series from the franchise was with the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and even that series managed to shed light on some fantastic characters for us to explore. The anime series managed to bring a parallel to Skynet and showed us the thought process that paved the way for coming to the conclusion of exterminating humanity. Future seasons might give us a chance to explore a lot of the characters in a more profound sense, allowing us to see the stakes in this post-apocalyptic world. We may get the rebel Skynet robots we've witnessed in the comic books and a new version of the Resistance, and also we can look at the other timelines apart from those that have been touched up so many times. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.